All right, guys, today we are learning about place value. This is from the 5A textbook, pages 16 through 19. It's actually the second chapter in the first unit. I skipped ahead and did this one first, and we'll come back to that first unit. But I thought it would be easier for us to talk about place value, which I would hope that most of us are already familiar with anyways, but talk about that first in preparation for the first chapter, which discusses how to read and write numbers in standard and expanded and word form. And I feel like it'd be easier to make sure we knew what the place values were and how they're set up in order to do that more accurately and effectively. All right, so our goal here today is to understand place value up into the millions place, although I will discuss bigger than that just to show how far that goes. Anyways, for most math classes, especially when we're introducing new materials, I like to do notes. And the way we set that up is we have a math notebook. Here I have an example one here for us that I'll show us. And then I usually write my notes on a whiteboard like this. Now, in a normal classroom setting, I would be using the document camera to project it up onto the screen, and students would be copying that down. What I'm going to do here is I'll be writing it on this board, and I'll hold it up, and feel free to pause the video to get it written down. But then I'm also going to show you what it looks like, how it should look in your notebook, at least for this first lesson, so you can get acclimated with it. So I always like to put the date, and I like to put these in order, right? So start on page 1, very top. Today's date is August 20th. Okay, and let me see if I can get a better marker. There we go. There we go. And then we are talking about place value, so right next to the date, I'm going to put, here we go. So that's how the top of my board looks. And if we were going into the notes, just showing you, there you go, 820 place value. That's what that should look like. All right. So these notes are relatively short. We only have a couple terms that we need to define. Usually when I define something or go through a process, I also like to show an example, because if we're just getting it in like, here's how you do it without seeing it in action, you might go back to your notes to look at it and be like, oh, I didn't know what he meant by that, or what were we trying to get at? Okay. So if there's an example in there, at least should hopefully guide you towards better clarity. All right. So place value is a concept in math relating to numbers, but I like to break it down into those two separate words, place and value, when we talk about this, because it covers two somewhat distinct things. So let's first, all right, go down to the next line and put a little bullet point, and we're going to define place. Okay, so I'm going to say it, but then I'll hold it up and show you as well. So place is the location of a specific digit in a number. Right? Where is it? Where's its place, right? That's where we get the word there. It's location. Where is it? You know, if I had a number, which if I looked at each digit, where would they be located? All right, so let me give you an example of that. Let's say we have the number 3,478. Okay, and I'm looking at one of those digits. Let's say I'm looking at the 7 specifically. That 7 is one place over from our starting point, right? We're going to start on the right-hand side and move over. And so the digit 7 is in the tens place. Okay, kind of ran out of room there. So here's what that'll look like. Here are our notes. Again, feel free to pause so you can write this down. And then I'm going to show us in these notes what that looked like. All right. Digit 7 is in the tens place. There you go. So that's what it looked like. It pretty much says the same thing. I just wanted to show you how that was organized on the page compared to this. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We got one other term to define. We talked about place, so now it is time for value. So skip a line, another bullet point, the word value. And that is defined as how much a specific digit is worth in a number. Okay, how much that, so we looked at that 7, we said it was in the tens place, but it isn't worth 10, right? We have 7 of tens, 7 of tens. That's such a weird sentence to say, but let's just break that down. So again, let's use our same number we used before, 3,478, okay? And what we want to say here is that this digit is worth 70, right? 7 tens. Right, the digit 7 is worth 70. Okay, we have 7 in the tens place. If that 7 was in another place, it'd be worth something else, right? A 7 in the thousands place, 7,000. A 7 in the ones place, well, it's just 7 on its own, right? It's all it's worth. 7 in the millions place, 7 million, right? And so it's usually just whatever the place value is and combined with how much the digit is, okay? So that is place and value, all right? And so what I want to do from there then is do some practice problems. Now, obviously, we can't really give some back and forth on that, but we're going to do kind of them somewhat together. So just follow along. We'll actually be working from our guided practice on page 17, doing numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So in the textbook, that looks like this, right? The first 3 questions are going to ask for the digit, the value of the digit. So, and then the other 3 questions are going to ask for the place, right? So that's why we defined those separately. All right. So these are not ones you need to write down in your notes. You're more than welcome to, but this is just for us to practice what that looks like. So let's look at numbers 6 and 7 and 8. And again, the directions say, state the value of the digit 2 in each number. So it's 2 in a place value. You got to see how much is that worth, right? What is its value? So in number 6, we have the number 812,679. And again, they're asking for the 2. Well, the 2 is in the thousands place, so its value equals 2,000. Okay. Let's look at our next one. We have 260,153. Again, we're looking for the 2. What is its value? Well, the 2 is in the 100,000s place. So its value is 200,000. Okay. Last one, we have 827,917. Okay. And so that is our next one. Again, we need to look at the number 2. That is in the 10,000s place. And so 10,000s place, that means its value, 2 10,000s equals 20,000. Okay, there we go. That is value. Now, if you aren't acclimated to these initial place values, I did skip a part here on our notes, so I'm going to put that back in there. For those who aren't familiar with it, we'll go over all of the different place values from right to left, so you can have that as a reference. Okay, but let's finish up this guided practice first. All right, and it looks like they're using some of the similar numbers, so I'm not going to change too much here. But in this case, they're going to ask for what place is it in instead of what is its value, right? So we're talking ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands, etc. So questions 9, 10, and 11, we have the only number they switched was the first one. So instead of 812,679, it is 182,679. So the 2, we said that was worth 2,000. It's in the thousands place then. Okay, in our next one, 260,153. That 2 is in the hundred thousandths place. 100 thousandths. And finally, in our last one, we already discussed this, but that 2 is in that 5th spot over. That is the 10 thousandths place. Right? Any number that's in, any digit that's in that spot is in the 10 thousandths place. Right? So that was our kind of together practice that we do in person. But let's go back, because I made that mistake of not showing us a place value chart first. But that's okay. I'm just going to make up a number. So we're going to go let me spread this out actually a little bit better. So we have 5,286,419. Okay, so there's our number. We're going to start on the furthest right-hand side. That digit is 9. That is your ones place. Okay. Next to it is the digit 1. That is your tens place. And the digit 4, that is in the hundreds. Okay, to kind of squish these in here. Keep going from there. There's a comma in between, but it kind of repeats it. We have the 1,000s place, or just thousands. Then we have, just like we did in 1, 10, 100, we have 1,000, 10,000s. And then 1, 10, 100,000s. We do these in these pairs of 3s. And then we separate them by commas. All right, and finally, our final digit here at the front is in the millions place. Okay, so feel free to pause that, and you can copy that down to into your notes if you need it. But these are the place values we're going to be talking about, and we can keep going from there. Right, the pattern is always 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. That would mean our next two are 10 million, 100 million. And then we go from there, and we can actually use our Greek and Latin prefixes in order to keep going on. So million was our first one. Bi means 2, so it'd be billions. So 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion. Keep going on from there. Tri means 3, so it's the third one. So 1 trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion. Keep going. We have 4 quadrillion, right? 5 quintillion. Keep going. It keeps on going from there for a while. Eventually, you'll get to kind of a weird number, similar to the name of the website, but not spelled the same. I think that's where they got it from, though, because there's so many responses there. I'm talking about the number Google. So the number is spelled Googol, and that is a number that has 100 zeros at the end. So just imagine trying to make that place value chart with all of those digits behind it. And then from there, there's like Googleplex, which has a Google zeros, which would take pages and pages to write the whole thing out. Googleplexian, and it just keeps on going, massive. It would be never ending, right? If we kept going, I don't think anyone's or any computer even has counted, even higher than that. It would take years and years and years, if not decades, if not centuries, right? But we're gonna stick to a little bit smaller, right? We're 6, 7, 8 digits around that area. All right. To finish this up, just go ahead. I think the way we'll have this set up in my lesson plans for teachers, I have the Let's Practice page 19 in the textbook, the odd ones. So I don't know, some schools are doing Google Classroom, some are doing Jupyter. However they want to do that, they can grab those problems out of there and have you practice on those to get a grade from that. All right, so that is it for our first lesson, which was on place value.